Hello and a very warm welcome to the Question Hour show from the Parliament House complex, where we bring you important unstart questions asked by the members of the Rajya Sabha earlier and the response given by the government in written format. I'm Kriti Mishra, and joining me is my colleague Vishal.
Well, thank you so much, Kriti, and let's take our viewers through this segment of Question Hour. And the first question which we are taking up has been asked to the Ministry of Defence, and this one is by member K. Ravindra Kumar, who wants to know from the government whether it has undertaken any study regarding inordinate delays that are occurring in induction of various aircrafts into Air Force, including LCA Tejas.
In the answer, the government says that the Aeronautical Development Agency has undertaken a study to identify the reason for delay in development of light combat aircraft, which is LCA. Specific reasons for delay were analysed and corrective actions have been taken to accelerate the LCA program. LCA had attained initial operation clearance in December 2013 and final operation clearance on 20th of Feb 2019. The government further says the process of induction has been accelerated through an enhanced rate of production at HAL from 8 aircrafts per year to 16 aircrafts per year. LCA was inducted on 1st of July 2016 in Indian Air Force, and the aircraft is being operated by the IAF. Well, the next question has been asked by 3 members, and these members are Chaya Verma, Sukhram Singh Yadav and Vishamba Prasad Nishad. And these members have asked the mechanism in the country for compensating farmers whose crops have been damaged by stray or wild animals. And this question pertains to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change.
Well, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in its response says that the mechanism for compensating the loss of farmers' crop damaged by wild animals varies from state to state. The extent of crops of farmers damaged by wild animals and cattle every year are not collated in the ministry. However, the ministry provides financial assistance to state, union territory governments under the centrally sponsored schemes of Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitat, Project Tiger and Project Elephant for management of wildlife and its habitats in the country. It includes compensation for depredation by wild animals, including cattle lifting, crop damage, loss of life and property. The activities supported under the scheme include construction, erection of physical barriers such as barbed wire fence, solar-powered electric fence, biofencing, using cactus, boundary walls, etc. to prevent the entry of wild animals into crop fields. Further, the ministry says that improvement of wildlife habitation of wild animals by augmenting the availability of food and water in forest areas to reduce the entry of animals from forest to habitations and setting up of anti-depredation squads to drive away problematic animals as well. Now, state governments also provide relief from their own funds for damage to crops by wild animals. Now, the ministry has recently increased the ex gratia payment in connection with wildlife depredation as follows. On death or permanent incapacitation, it's 5 lakh rupees. On grievous injury, 2 lakh rupees. Minor injury, cost of treatment up to 25,000 rupees per person. And loss of property or crops, the state and union territory governments may adhere to the cost norms prescribed to them. Well, the next question is addressed to the Ministry of Coal, and this one has been asked by member Saroj Pandey, who wants to know from the government whether it would formulate any action plan to increase the production and consumption of coal in the country, and if so, what are the details?
The government says that there has been a consistent endeavour to increase domestic coal production. The All India raw coal production has increased from 565.77 million tonnes in 2013-14 to 730.35 million tonnes in 2018-19. Absolute increase in all India production from 2013-14 to 2018-19 is 164.58 million tonnes as compared to an increase of coal production of 73.01 million tonnes between 2008 and 9 and 2013 and 14. Further, in the current year, which is 2019-20, all India coal production was 113.24 million tonnes with a growth rate of 2.4%. Coal is consumed by the sectors using coal as intermediary, and government has no role in increasing the consumption of coal. In order to augment supply, a total of 84 coal blocks have been allotted under CM Special Provision Act 2015 so far. Further, the focus of the government is on increasing the domestic production of coal, which includes pursuing with state governments for assistance in land acquisition and coordinated efforts with railways for movement of coal. Moving on, and the next question is from member Shashikala Pushpa to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And she has asked whether the government has taken action against industries with respect to effluent discharge standards for non-compliance under Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 and the Environment Protection Act 1986 during the last 3 years.
Well, the ministry in its response says that the Central Pollution Control Board, that is CPCB, is monitoring and inspecting industrial units based on alerts generated from online continuous effluent emission monitoring system, that is OCEMS, and taking appropriate action against non-complying industries as per the provisions of the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 and the Environment Protection Act 1986. The ministry further says that during 2016-17, CPCB started a scheme of inspection of 17 categories of highly polluting industries based on the computer-generated alerts. Now, industries for inspection are selected on the basis of short message service alerts generated from the online monitoring system. A total of 592 industries have been inspected between 2016-17 till 14th of June 2019, and 347 directions issued under Section 5 of the Environment Protection Act 1986 to non-complying industries, and one direction issued under Section 18(1)(b) of the Air and Water Acts to State Pollution Control Board. Well, the next question is to the Ministry of Heavy Industries, and this one has been asked by member K.C. Ramamurthy, and this is about electric vehicles, wherein the member wants to know from the government whether it has made any findings on the countries that are giving subsidy for electric vehicles, including those owned by private people, and also the details of countries that are giving subsidy to these people.
Based on the outcome and experience during Phase 1 of faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles in India, FAME India scheme, and after having consultations with all stakeholders, industry and industry associations, Department of Heavy Industry and Public Enterprises finalized and accordingly notified Phase 2 of FAME India scheme on 8th of March 2019, which is for a period of 3 years commencing from 1st of April 2019. Keeping impact of electric vehicles on reduction of fossil fuel and environmental pollution, this phase of scheme is mainly focused for public and shared transportation, except e-two-wheelers, where privately owned 2WS are also being supported through various initiatives. Let's move on to the next question, and this one is by member PL Punya, and this one pertains to the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And Mr. Punya has asked the details of problems being faced in river linking project along with total cost of the project.
Well, the Ministry of Jal Shakti in its response says that the National Perspective Plan, that is NPP, was prepared by the then Ministry of Irrigation, which is now the Ministry of Jal Shakti, in August 1980, for water resources development through inter-basin transfer of water, for transferring water from water surplus basins to water deficit basins. Under the NPP, the National Water Development Agency, NWDA, has identified 30 links, 16 under peninsular component and 14 under Himalayan component for preparation of feasibility reports. The main problem in river linking projects relate to lack of consensus or agreements amongst the states concerned for water sharing and implementation mechanism. The ministry further says that total cost of the interlinking projects, as estimated in preliminary studies at pre-feasibility or feasibility stage, is 5.60 lakh crore at 2002 price level. Subsequently, the Group on Financial Aspects for Interlinking of River Projects under Task Force for ILR has estimated the total cost of ILR projects under NPP as rupees 8.44 lakh crore at 2015-16 price level. However, the total expenditure likely to be incurred on ILR projects can only be known after completion of all individual detailed project reports or individual DPRs. So, Kriti, that's all we have for our viewers in this segment of Question Hour.
That's right, Vishal. But on the other side, we have our colleagues Arvind Singh and Preeti Singh with Prashnikal. Stay tuned.